Well, good afternoon. I am your everyday average Jonathan. I am an ordinary guy with ordinary tools making extraordinary items. I'm an amateur blacksmith, a novice woodworker, a self-taught craftsman. Things that I make tend to be whimsical in nature, fantastical if you will, echoing times of a forgotten yore. Things like weapons, armor, structures even, novelty items that I use on my ranch here in Colorado every week. Each week I start a new build, a new project. I take you along with me. I show you my perspective. I don't edit out any of my mistakes. I don't edit out any of my aha moment. I leave them all in. This week I will be making a bench for my closet. My closet has long needed a place for me to set my weary, tired butt down and put on my boots, put on my clothes. That's what I'll be embarking on. It will be made in a style that is my own choosing, trying a technique for woodworking that I've seen, but I've never been able to do. I look forward to having you with me. Let's get to the shop and get started. If you were to ask anyone what type of furniture and structures does Jonathan tend to make, the first thing that they would probably say is large, heavy, Viking, medieval, from another time. And that's true. The items that I build furniture-wise, they are going to look grounded, they're going to look antiquated, from another time, as I often say in my intros. And that's my aesthetic. I will always be building that way. I don't tend to be somebody that is good at fine furniture, fine fixtures. I don't have the patience for it, but also my eye doesn't necessarily like that aesthetic as much. I have several wood piles and wood racks, one in my shop and then several around the side of my shop. This is the smaller, heavier items that I tend to keep, and I'll be using those for legs, which you're going to see me start building now. The larger pieces you saw me hauling there, those will be the actual bench itself. To go ahead and get the legs set up from those old oak beams that you see right there, I'm going to go ahead and start with the table saw. I'll be using my planer as well, but I got to get them down to bare wood and to the dimensions that I'm looking to do. They're just a bit on the big side, so I had to take the guard off of the table saw, which is not my favorite, but it's what I had to do for this. This old planer, it's just been with me for so long. It is the bee's knees. It does a great job. It's not super quick, it's not super powerful, but for what I do, it really does the job and surfaces the wood cleanly. You don't need to sand it after using this. It's in nearly perfect condition. And of course this work just produces so much sawdust, but that leaf blower that I have a cordless one, but this corded one's just so high powered it knocks everything off of my shelves. I have to go pick everything back up, but it's what I go to when I need to clean up the dust and the sawdust. Now comes the interesting part. This design that I've seen, it seems to be a little bit popular. I've been seeing it popping up here and there. It's going to make the legs look wavy, almost spiral shape, but it's not quite that. I've never done it before. It looked fairly easy when I saw it online, but as in anything, I'm sure it took a lot of trial and error for the person that was showing me. And with me, it definitely took a lot of error and lots of trial, as you'll see. And this is my first pass through this beam of 4 in total, and now I'm about to have to use something I hate, painter's tape. Painter's tape is the most ridiculous concoction ever made. I basically spend all of my time picking it off the roll trying to get it started, and it never really seems to work out right even when I apply it. God bless painter's tape. Well, finally, after only having to gouge out one eye with a dull rock, I finally got the tape correctly on there, and this is the second pass of several. And I made a really bad mistake on this design, as you'll see here. I started to cut into it as I would if that material that I'm cutting right there was supposed to be spare or cast off or cut off material. No, I was supposed to hold on to that. That's actually part of the structure of the leg that I'm making. And getting my blade stuck in the material, as you can see. Couldn't loosen it up, had to go find a screwdriver, pry it out of there. One of the big issues with this particular build is that the bandsaw blade that I'm using is way too thick. I needed something that was about 1/4 of an inch in thickness, and this is probably 1/2 inch. And here I pull it off of the wheels, have to do a quick update and get it back on those wheels, and away we go. Okay, so here are the first of several legs that I tried to make. They came out okay, but I'm gonna have to go ahead and make a couple others. I will have 4 legs in total, and this time I'm doing the sawing outside because the sawdust is just so over the top that I decided to just make it easier on myself. Drawing the profiles for this second group of legs. This time I'm going to change it up a little bit. I'm going to actually start a little bit more towards the middle. The lines that I will be cutting will be more towards the middle versus on the periphery, which will definitely help out when I'm doing the, I guess what you call them, the secondary compound cuts. Ugh, painter's tape. And this is really how it's supposed to look when you're done making these cuts. They came out nearly perfectly. Now I have 4 sets of legs, all in puzzle pieces that I have to put together. Maybe it's cheating, maybe it's not, but outside of applying this wood glue, I was going to go ahead and put some brads in here, some little pneumatic nails from the nail gun sunk in just to hold them in place and keep them from sliding side by side. I'm going to clamp these later, so these will just add to that structure. But also, this is going to be holding up quite a bit of weight, so I don't think that I want to just rely on glue, and I'll probably apply some strapping to it at the end here as well. I ran out of clamps, so now I'm just using the good old-fashioned twine method. It's wonderful to take a stop from work every now and then around sunset, just peer outside of the shop and see what God's green earth has on display for me. And in this moment in time, it's God's fiery earth. I'm always thankful for beautiful sunrises and sunsets. All right, the next morning, taking these back apart, taking a look at the handiwork and realizing that there's a lot of sanding that needs to be done, but that's pretty normal for my woodworking. And when you just positively, absolutely, with complete certainty need to remove a lot of material, that angle grinder with 24 grit or 36 grit sandpaper is really the best thing that I've ever seen for doing that. And this is the 3rd time in even less weeks that I've used this drum sander. I don't really like it. It seems really kind of pathetic to me, but for certain jobs it does seem to work pretty well. Now going back over this, I'm actually trying a new method. I've never done this before. I'm trying to distress and weather this wood. I'm hitting it with an angle grinder and a wire wheel, and it seemed to work. Now I'm going to go back over it with 150 grit sandpaper just to make the overall surface smooth. Those cuts and those ravines that I put into the wood with the wire wheel are still there, but they're just smoothed out a little bit, a little worn look. I think it came out really well. And then last thing I do, and I do this a lot on a lot of the furniture, is I'm going to go ahead and hit this with a torch, char the outside, and give it that weathered look. I will apply an oil coating to this, and it is a dusty and chilly 18 degrees in my shop this morning. I decided that I didn't trust the wood to hold up on its own just because of the glue, and there's a couple brads in there, but I didn't just trust it to hold up on its own when it's going to support a ton of weight. So I'm going to put some metal strapping around each one. It'll give it a kind of a cool, again, medieval sort of look to it, but at the same time it'll add a lot of stability for the weight that's going to go on each of these legs. Because I'm going to cold bend this strap onto the wood legs, I'm not going to use the forge to heat it because I don't want to burn the wood. I'm going to actually put a little crease into each area, each bend, and that'll help me bend it a little bit because this strap is decently thick. It's not terrible, but it definitely helps to have just a little crease in each place where I'm going to kink it and bend it. I was worried that with all of the hammering and all of the wrenching and pulling on this piece, each leg that I was doing, that I was going to crack open these glues, but they held up. I'm surprised. That wood glue is pretty strong, and the wood itself is a pretty sturdy wood, but all of those glue joints held up. Now I'm going to go ahead and tack weld each one of these straps together. There were some gaps, so I had to get some filler material to put in there and tack weld it in. And I'm not going to grind it out. I'm just going to leave the welds pretty raw. These welds won't be seen. Normally I would grind them out and buff them out, but at this particular juncture, they're really tucked in there. They're not going to be seen. So I went ahead and just cut the material, let the welds sit as they are. I don't feel like this actually matters too much to the overall structure, but I am putting in a little pyramid head lag screw. It looks cool, but at the same time, it allows that strap to just stay more directly rooted to each leg. This will be sitting on carpet, so I went ahead and applied a 30-degree beveled edge here to the bottom section of each leg. That's going to be in contact with the carpet, just giving it a little bit more smooth interface. And now the all-important enamel. I was going to do oil coating, I just decided to spray this with enamel. Well, that's the first half of that build. The legs are finished. Next week, I'm gonna start the base. The base is huge. It's 10 by 10 inches. It's rough hewn, live edge timber. They're massive. I can't wait to show you that. It's gonna be quite the process. Until then, hey,